name's Lindy and welcome to my channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk. My email is info@lindycowling.co.uk. And before I launch into this impromptu video this evening UK time, just to thank the patrons that have started to come on board for my new Patreon venture. I launched Patreon yesterday, so it's all very new, and I'm hoping to build up a group of people that I can do some kind of channeling for in a more intimate setting. The channeling will take varied forms. I'm not sure of all of them yet. I know where I'm starting, but as I work intuitively, that may change according to who the patrons are. But for those that have come on board already, thank you so much, and I really look forward to providing some exclusive content for you, which will be up there on my Patreon page later this week. So the first of that content will be up there then. So thank you to those that have started to come on board there. And also I'd like to just confirm again that I'm halfway through working on some material in a sound and film format that's a combined endeavour with my son, who scores music and can, you know, write music, scores music, and I'm very excited about this. Most of that content will be available, I'm hoping, in September, but let's see how it goes. And I might provide a little bit of that content on YouTube, but most of it's probably going to be available through my son's website and for people to purchase as an album or as individual film. So I'm very excited about that. And lastly, I just launched Instagram yesterday. I've yet to post on it, but I've just about launched it. So you can find me on there as well. So there's lots going on. So without further ado, I'm going to launch in now with the title of this video, and this video is Twin Flame Physics, Fusion versus Fission. Twin Flame Physics, that's a mouthful. Twin Flame Physics, Fusion versus Fission. Now, those of you that have subscribed to this channel for a number of years, about 6 years, those of you that are new on board, those of you that have been with me a while, it varies, will know I work in an intuitive, experiential fashion, which means 99% of everything I share, talk about, teach, or whatever form it comes across, channel, is in an experiential form, which means I have lived it, experienced it, moved through it, been through that process, worked with thousands of people over a 20-year period that are going through different cycles of energy processes, different cycles of healing, different cycles of awakening, ascension, all different things, different cycles with matching consciousness, soulmates, twin flames, catalysts, etc, etc. So everything I talk about, teach, share, channel, in whatever form it is all being done through thousands and thousands of hours experience working with people, but also having lived through everything I talk and share about. So having said that, 99% of what I put out, I don't, let's say, get a huge input on it before I'm on here and then write it down. It usually is, let's say, live, impromptu, from the heart, immediately on the spot. You say what you see is what you get, so to speak. Very occasionally I will suddenly have this inspiration to share something or talk about something that I have most of the input on, but it might be quite a complex kind of subject to do with energy, and I might jot down a couple of notes. So the reason I'm saying that is because today is one of those days. I'm going to be talking about linking really twin flames to the nuclear, fusion and fission. And I'm not a nuclear physicist, and I'm not an astrophysicist, and I'm not an expert at physics, but yet so much of what I talk about in terms of energy seems to cross those worlds and cross those lines and make that bridge between science and the metaphysical, and the metaphysician really in me. And much of it is linked with quantum physics. So I've made a couple of notes to keep me on track. So if I keep looking down there, it's not because I'm being rude, excuse me, looking away from camera, as I just made a couple of notes to keep me on track, so that I can give you my spin, my take, my understanding on this process, which I've continually in private sessions with clients and publicly on the public forum really referred to the twin flame union or twin flame dynamic as almost like a nuclear process. I say if you go one way, it's like a nuclear explosion or a box of fireworks, it just all goes up. And if you go this way, it doesn't. And that's the way I've expressed it for a number of years. And there are many clients in one-to-ones that will attest to that. So I just had about literally 20 minutes ago before I came on camera this kind of aha moment when you suddenly have a realization in energy and a lot of the dots adding up and coming together. So because I've just had that aha moment, I feel this real excitement to share, but that's why I've had to jot down a couple of notes so that I get across what I want to get across. So twin flame physics, fusion versus fission. If we go back to the beginning and think again of everything as energy, we are energy, we're expressions of energy, life is energy, world is energy, everything around us comprised of energy, which has its own movement and flexibility, and sometimes we only interpret it as a rigid fixed energy because that is our perception and mindset. And with a fluid flowing perception or mindset, perhaps that rigidity, both micro internally and macro externally, would change and fluctuate. So everything's energy. If we think of it as everything as atoms, etc., this kind of thing. And if we go to the subject of twin flames, just for definition, to explain what I mean by that, the twin flame union or twin flames being an aspect of same soul in more than one human vehicle, living their life, expressing their life, not just in that form per se, but as a living, breathing, representative part of a stitch in the tapestry of the consciousness of a twin flame union template. Twin flame union template that can be imprinted on by the masses, a twin flame union template being let's say a circuit board, a template, a blueprint of consciousness that is in its refined form, that is an equal balance of masculine and feminine energy in its most conscious state. Now in, let's say, the real world, so to speak, often that is activated throughout people 99% of the time that are in an unconscious state and in a very largely unbalanced masculine and feminine format, hence where the work comes in, not only balancing it within themselves and the families, blood family, soul family, population, culture, country, consciousness, world, earth, universe that they have been born in, but balancing it for themselves in their own unique expression of consciousness. And an example I've given many times is that is a kind of tightrope, a balancing act, which is why so many get into trouble so quickly and struggle with it, because it's on such a grand scale, and yet it's all kind of being filtered down into us as individual expressions of consciousness, and yet the bigger picture is huge. It's a vast process. It's a vast balancing process of coming out of highly polarized matter into non-polarized matter. And here we go on to what I am talking about here. So if we think of let's say two aspects of same soul, so twin flames, that have come into one another's lives in a particular fashion, unless they are of the new template, largely conscious within themselves. When I say largely conscious, no one's largely conscious at the moment, but more conscious than the average person, let's say. If they are in that category where their consciousness is reasonably high, and that they come in with a refined template, that there is their destiny, if you like, or their whole soul signature, spirit essence signature, is highly likely for them to become fully conscious in this timeline, highly likely for them to ascend in this timeline, highly likely for them to come into their heart in this timeline, live it, love it, you know, living it large, so to speak. Then they come in slightly differently, because they don't come through a highly polarized, heavier, denser, almost like dense magnetic form of twin flame union. They come in a much lighter form of that particular thing, and it doesn't affect them in the same heavy duty way, almost like I'd say catastrophic way sometimes, than it does those that come in polarized forms. So my theory here, I'm going to explain a little bit about here now, is when you have aspects of same soul in more than one human body, the sheer magnetics of the energy involved and the sheer magnetics of the soul, especially being up close and personal, that initial eye contact, that initial being around each other, maybe that initial intimacy, that initial feelings of awakening, heart activations, falling in love, chemistry, hormones, the whole kabang, so to speak. When all of this is going on, there are huge processes going off, huge energy processes going off, kundalini, all sorts of things being fired up. But if we look at it from almost like a nuclear perspective, and I'm looking down as I say it here, if we go first of all from the aspect of fusion, if we think of the twin flames, so I'm going to use two as an example. We now know and can say with confidence that you can have the expression of a same soul in multiple realities, multiple timelines, and in multiple ways simultaneously. In other words, what I'm confirming here, as I've confirmed for many years on the YouTube channel, is you can actually get that in more than one human being. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to say aspects of same soul in two human bodies. So nuclear fusion where it comes to twin flames, two aspects of same soul, nuclei, an atoms, cells, vibration, frequency, energy, combined together, releasing vast amounts of energy. Vast amounts of energy, not just being released from them, by them, but through them, like vast alchemists. Vast alchemists alchemizing, purging, let's say clearing up, activating the unconscious to become conscious within the blood families, soul families that they have been born into. Almost like that, those flames lighting up, striking a match that runs up the line of dynamite up into the family lines, soul families, blood families, to literally almost like explode or set off little nuclear reactions in order to facilitate the unconscious becoming conscious in the family belief systems, the family patterns, the family history, the family genetics, the family epigenetics, in order to make this come into a 0 point neutral balanced field. When the two flames, when the two nuclei, when the two combine, they release vast amounts of this energy to form a kind of heavy, dense matter or nucleus there. And in that form of fusion, that is almost like the process I feel that happens in twin flame union. and it actually kind of aligns with a particular force. Now, in nuclear physics, they call this force, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Coulomb force, which is actually a repelling force. So you can see the push-pull thing that we've been describing for years in that process that goes on through these human beings that are aspects of same soul, a repelling force that actually aligns with and is all connected with the stars and the sun and the universe and everything. So let me just slow this down to repeat this. So this is a video purely about how this happens with twin flames, and particularly twin flame union. I'm just going to use the example of two aspects of same soul in two bodies in this one. Two aspects, two people that are same soul. Almost a form of light, a form of energy, a combination between the two, merging, coming together, osmosis, releases vast amounts of energy, not just vast amounts of energy within them, kickstarting their whole energy field, taking them into these higher templates, but the bigger picture, almost like releasing it, like lighting a whole line of dynamite, striking a match that goes up through the blood families, soul families of these expressions of same soul, twin flames, which makes the unconscious conscious, which highlights the epigenetics, the genetics, the belief systems. It's bringing, let's say, non-polarized, I'm going to say in a way positive, non-polarized light fusion into those families in order to bring a process of alchemy into a balanced, changed format. But as part of that, this dance, there is like a heavier material formed, and it all connects in with a repelling kind of energy that's known in physics as Coulomb. I hope I'm saying that right, which connects with the stars and the sun, basically. So with twin flames or twin flame union, that fusion, I feel, is a big part of the process of what goes on in the energy of the two. And like I say, over and over again on YouTube, over and over again in single sessions with clients, I've been saying, if it comes together at the wrong time, wrong place, so to speak, or it's not in balance, so to speak, it's like a box of fireworks going off, and I even say it's like a nuclear bomb going off. Now if we get to fission, if it's twin flames that come together as a process of fission, I'm going to say nuclear fission, splits the heavy, unstable nucleus into two light nuclei, or two lighter outcomes, and they are broken apart, freeing the energy up. The binding energy must be more negative than what was started with, the starting element. So nuclear fission, it's not totally dissimilar or unsimilar to fusion, but nuclear fission splits the heavy, unstable nucleus into two lighter aspects, which are broken apart, separated, freeing the energy up. The binding energy must be more negative than what was started with, the starting element. Now, to me, this is only just my theory here, but I feel that twin flames and twin flame union incorporate both of these processes, and I feel that they lean, according to the dynamics of the individual, shall we say, unique soul or souls in question, I think they lean more to which, if they're going more into fusion versus more into fission, and are either wrong. I don't think either of the processes are wrong. I feel that they lean one way or another, depending not just on them as unique personalities and expression of consciousness, but on the unique dynamics of the soul per se, and the unique dynamics of the families they've been born into. What if, and this is only a conceptual theory here, what if it was always designed that a particular set of twin flames go and lean more towards a fission, nuclear fission side of the process, because there is, let's say, more of that binding negative energy within the bloodlines to clear, and there is a part of that process, that big energy process, where they must be broken apart for so long in order to free energy up. So it's not that it's gone wrong, but that it is always part of that process, depending on the individual magnetics of the soul family, blood families they were born into. What if it was always designed that way, that you could get twin flame fission dynamic and twin flame fusion dynamic? There is a fission dynamic. There are in particular family dynamics where it's inevitable that they have to come away from each other, not because it went wrong, but because of the actual physics around this explosive energy that they're running. The soul energy, the essence energy, but particularly the soul energy here, and that bit coming apart frees the energy up, not just in them, but the whole alchemy, the whole alchemical picture of the families that they're born into, soul families, blood families. So what I'm saying, it could be that the twin flame fission side of it is a particular family dynamic, soul family and blood family, where the whole dynamic design is meant to be that way, where they're always meant to come away from each other for a while or indefinitely before coming back round. Or perhaps, you know, rather than all of the blame game and people aren't getting it right and why can't people do it, maybe because it's a process of nuclear fission as opposed to nuclear fusion sometimes, maybe they are getting it right for the end of the process they're in. So fission, again, to repeat, and excuse me, keep looking down, splits heavy, unstable. So think about unstable families, unstable backgrounds, unstable history. Splits heavy, unstable nucleus into two lighter nuclei. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Broken apart, freeing the energy up. The binding energy must be more negative than the starting elements. So there's a lot of negativity, heavy instability, broken apart to free the energy up. That might have always been their role. Versus twin flame fusion. Start as two light nuclei, they combine, merge, release vast amounts of energy to form a heavier nucleus. Linked like, for example, the stars and the sun, there is another energy, let's almost call it a third energy, the third energy. If I pronounce this right, I'll be getting all these letters from physicists who've got the right ump with me. The Coulomb force, which repels, and this is again is linked to the sun and the stars, the same kind of process here. What if we have twin flames on this planet, twin flame union, twin flames that fall into one camp or the other, that they were always meant to be twin flames that run it as a process of fission, nuclear fission, and the twin flames that run it as a process of nuclear fusion, and depending on what camp you're in, depends on what aspect of the process and what end of that seesaw you are on. Negative energy requiring a great deal of alchemization, and don't forget everything's made out of light and shadow, light and dark, negative, positive, but I'm just generalizing. Families or soul families, blood families, there is heavy negativity in. What if it was always meant to be twin flame fission? And scenarios where there is much more overall positive stuff to be integrated, they fall into the camp of twin flame union fusion. Something to think about, something to get excited about, something to ponder on. Maybe so many of the places that people get tangled up with that blame, especially the amount of people that they would say, well, it didn't work out, I'm not with them, we're not together, why didn't it go this way, why didn't it go that way? Maybe the picture is 1,000 times bigger than anyone anticipated, and it's not just down to personalities and individuals. Of course that plays a part, but it's much more than that. Perhaps it was always the soul's plan that you come in a fusion or fission form. Oh, that's a tongue twister. Fusion or fission form. And on that note, I will love you and leave you. As always, thank you for watching the channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for donating. For those of you that do donate, I appreciate it very, very much. For those of you that are going to or thinking about coming on board to my Patreon page, the link will be underneath. I will be putting out the first of the content to go out on there in a specialised kind of format just for patrons. That will be out this week, and for those that have already come on board, thank you. And like I say, I will get around to posting some stuff up on Instagram. I just haven't had a chance. Until we meet again, which might be sooner rather than later, I'll love you and leave you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for resonating. Take care, and hope that gave you something not only to think about, but maybe it just lit that inner fire within you, and you had your aha moment and realization on that. Loads of love, guys. Bye.